joining in on this. I just talked to Mr. Arsamont, one of my good buddies and Maya consultants, and he said, "Hey, so what's with the Matrix, and what are we gonna talk about, or what are you gonna talk about on this?" I said, "I can't wait to find out. We'll see." I'm just glad I don't have duct tape on my mouth, so I can actually speak freely. If anybody saw any of those ads that our graphics team, Mr. Brian Negrone, put out there. But I appreciate you joining in. It will be a serious topic. I am going to just, hopefully give you some perspectives on opening your minds a little bit as an industry if you want to be successful. Because I think as people in general, we have gut reactions to certain things. And I will give some examples of what we see out there. And I'll talk specific to our industry, and that's the martial arts industry. I don't know who's on here, but this is specific to the martial arts industry. But what I'm going to tell you will fit any industry, regardless. Again, it's just about people and how we think today, and how we got to be a little bit more careful because of AI, social media, marketing. It's easy to believe certain things. So we'll dive into that whenever Chris gives me permission. Plus, look, I'll just be honest with everybody here. This is an unfiltered Q&A session as well. I have some points that I want to hit. But Chris asked me, what kind of questions do you think we'll get? And I said, I don't know if we'll get any questions, because I know people like to just sit back and listen, but this is time to ask questions. I won't put anybody on the spot, but I will answer any questions. She even said, are there any questions you don't want to answer? I said, no, anything you want to ask, I'll be happy to address. So,
well, I'm pretty sure we have all martial artists or martial arts school owners on the call. Otherwise, you'd need to fire the marketing company that ran the ads. So pretty sure we have everybody that is on here is a martial artist. And I'd love to know, where's everybody from? Can you guys let me know in the chat? Let's see if maybe you have some neighbors here. We want this to be interactive. As much as I love listening to Mr. Metzger go on long tangents, we want to get you in the chat. We want to get you to provide some feedback to us. And Mats, we're giving something away at the end of this session. Do you remember what that is?
We are. And I'm going to be honest with everybody. This is for non-elite members, non-Maya members. But at the end of the session, there'll be a survey, and we are going to give away a free all-expense trip to Orlando and to our Game Changers event next month. And it's really to give somebody an opportunity to really see for yourself. And this is going to be part of the discussion, not about Maya, but to see for yourself, what is it that we really do, in Maya. And whoever's interested could win an all-expense trip to Orlando. That is, by the way, for people that live in the surrounding counties. That's a joke, everybody. It's a joke. We'll pay airfare, your hotel night, and the admission. So.
All right. Well, Mets, I definitely want to get started here, but I'm curious to what your answer was. I asked a group of people this yesterday, and if everybody on the call could let us know in the chat, if you could train with any martial artist, dead or alive, who would it be? Curious to what your answer is, Mr. Metzger. And then everybody else, what is your answer? If you could train with anybody, who would it be?
Look, I'm looking at some of these answers. Masayama. I mean, for me, just the gut answer would be Bruce Lee. I mean, he's iconic. He's a legend. I think we've evolved. I think we know a lot about martial artists today more than we did in the 60s and 70s. He was he was an anomaly, I think, somewhat back then. And I would have liked to have trained with him and saw, how fast was he really? How good was he? And I have no reason to think that he wasn't, but that would be my pick.
Awesome. All right. Yeah. See a lot of Bruce Lee's. Saw a GSP in there. I'd really love to train with Hicks and Gracie. Never had an opportunity to train with Hicks. I think that'd be really cool. So, Mets, let's kick this off. Do you want people dropping their questions in the chat? Do we want to start with that, or did you kind of want to start with a particular topic before we dive in?
Well, I'll dive in and listen as you have questions, Chris. If you could just keep track of if anybody has questions, throw them in there. But let me dive into the gist of what this is really all about. In the industry, now I see a lot of familiar faces on here, and if you're a familiar face to me, that tells me that you have somewhat of an open mind, because I wouldn't have recognized you unless you are either a Maya member or attended a webinar or a seminar, which tells me you have an open mind enough to see or explore what's out there in the industry. But let me tell you about consulting companies first. We could talk about CRMs, digital marketing companies, curriculum programs, instructor certifications, right? But this is what I want to get across to everybody. It's the choices we make in life that will determine where you end up in life. Period. End of story. It's the choices that you make that will determine where you end up in life, right? So I'm just going to call it out there. People that are very, very successful, however you define that, but I'm going to define that like this. When I say very, very successful, it's somebody, again, let's use our industry as an example. Well, I want to know who is in our industry that runs a very successful martial arts school, meaning they have very great, high quality students. They have a lot of them, a lot of those students, right? They have careers that they've provided for people, and they're making a lot of money because we are in business. That is what I would say is very, very successful. Now, right off the bat, there may be some of you on here that automatically just turned off because I said that make a lot of money. And your brain will want to say, well, it's not all about money. What about the art? What about this? What about that? That's being closed-minded. That's called justifying and making an excuse. But here's the thing that I see in the industry. Maya is the best consulting company out there. How do I know that? So when you see people saying Maya is the best consulting company out there, or this consulting company is the best, or that consulting company is the best, usually it's from their own customers that are saying that, number one, right? And by the way, if you're a current customer, you should say they're the best, because if you thought somebody else was the best, you should be a current customer, number one. If the company themselves is saying they're the best, I can tell you right now, I don't know if Maya is the best consulting company, because I don't belong to any other consulting companies. But here's the point. Do your homework. Don't just take the marketing word for it, or the customers that are saying this is the best, this is the best. Do your due diligence and give yourself the statistical advantage of being successful by doing your homework and calling and finding out, what is your philosophy? What do you guys teach? What is it that you do? I want to grow my business, or I want to grow in my position, in my career in the martial arts. That's number one. The other thing that I see is this. I don't know if you know this or not, but our industry, it's almost like feast or famine in the martial arts industry. We have martial artists that, forget owners. I'm not just talking about owners. We have martial arts schools that provide careers to people that have the ability to make into the six figures with retirement plans and vacation plans and benefits, health benefits, all of that stuff, right? And you have owners that do very, very well. But then you also have owners that are just making it, just getting by, just paying the bills. The majority of our industry is the second. The majority of our industry is struggling to just make it work and be comfortable, right? That is the majority of our industry. So knowing that, right, there's companies in our industry that, because we know that, how do we brainwash our industry? We'll say stuff like, are you tired of the same old stuff that just doesn't work? Are you tired of being told to do a buddy day at your school when you never get students? And most of the industry will be like, yeah, it never works for me. It never works. So now you think, wow, I'm going to listen to what this person has to say. And then you'll buy into whatever they're selling. And by the way, maybe they're selling something really good. But did you ever think that maybe it doesn't work because you're not doing it right? Like, do you ever think that, right? But we don't think that. We just think it doesn't work for me. So where's the golden carrot? We're looking for the easy way. We're looking for something that's going to just get it done for us. Be smarter than that. But pick up the phone and inquire. Well, what is it that you teach? What is it? Where's the philosophy? Here's another one that I just want to throw out there. Have you guys seen the ad? 10x your enrollments or 5x your enrollments. How can you believe that when they don't even know how many people? What if you're enrolling 0 people a month and they're going to 10x that for you? But what if you're enrolling 40 people a month? Are they going to get you 400 new students a month? Again, it's marketing. We do it too. I'd like to say we don't do that kind of marketing because I'm just more of a realist. And if you've ever seen me talk, I'm pretty straightforward. And I always say, ask the why. So if you want to write something down, write this down. Always ask the why and the how. Well, why is it that you do it that way? And how do you do it? But always ask the why, because we could be in front of a charismatic speaker or somebody that comes on these things, and maybe you relate to my personality, and I could just start saying certain things that resonate with you, because what I'm doing is I'm talking about everything that I know, the majority of the industry. I know the stuff that doesn't work well for people, right? So I can get you sucked in with that and then just spew out my rhetoric. You'll take notes and you'll try to implement it, and you'll never know why. You'll never know why I should do it this way, right? And I'm coming on here because my job with Maya is to professionalize the martial arts industry, to get more people involved in the martial arts. And I can't get more people involved in martial arts unless I can help the school owners be more successful, right? So I just want us to make sure we do that. Here's another controversy, by the way. Contracts. A lot of this industry is programmed, yes, you got to do contracts. And then a lot of people are programmed, you know, we don't do contracts. But do you ever hear, for those of you who are on here right now, well, why don't you do contracts? Here's what you're going to say. Well, we believe in customer service, and we believe that if they want to be here, you know, then they should be here, and we're not going to force anybody to be here, and this, that, and the other. But that would be the wrong justification and excuse. That insinuates that if you have a term, that we don't have the highest level of customer service. It's not true. The other thing that insinuates, have you ever thought of this? When a student signs up at your martial arts school, do you know why they're signing up at your martial arts school? Do you know why? I'm going to tell you why. For a specific reason. That's why. Either the kid just is out of control and has no focus, so the mom's like, I want to do this. Or my son's friend Billy goes here and he wants to do it. Or my girlfriend was just attacked a month ago and I need to learn self-defense. I want to join martial arts. Or I just saw this movie and it inspired me. I want to do martial arts, right? Whatever it is, but they're joining you right now for a specific reason for them. But what they don't know when they join your school, what they don't know is what it will feel like to accomplish achieving a black belt in your system someday. They will never know what that feeling is like, right? They will never know what they would have learned had they made it to black belt. They will not know. So if you know why they're joining in this moment of time, then you also should know that when that emotion wears off or that motivation wears off, they will want to quit. When the majority of your students don't even know what they are quitting. They don't even know what they're quitting. What they do is they get bored. They see more value in something else. But what we do as an industry is Yeah, no problem. You want to leave, quit in 30 days, which by the way, we don't chase people. We do 1-year terms, but we don't sell it as a contract. What we don't do in Maya, by the way, is we don't charge you a monthly fee for the right to train on our floor. We're not a health club. What we do is we say, here is the program you can purchase, and this is what is included. This is what you will learn in the next 12 months. And it costs, I'm making this up, $1,300. And if you don't want to give me $1,300, you can pay $100 a month for the next 12 months with a $100 down payment to keep your payment at 100. I'm making an example here, but my point is, it's a tangible program. This is what you're buying. When you complete that program, if you want to leave, you can leave. Now, some of you may, I'm not going into a seminar mode here and telling you all the justifications and reasons why that works so well, and that nobody has a problem coming in and buying a program with our 135 licensed locations, around the nation, right? But my point is do your homework and don't be closed-minded when you hear things that may not fit your belief system based on wherever you got that belief system, especially if you're a school that is not doing, or you are not where you want to be in your martial arts business. If you are not where you want to be, you got to change something. And you know what that something is? 9 times out of 10, it's your thinking. That's what it is. And you got to be careful, because now with Facebook and Google ads and everything, we're just being bombarded with anything that we can do to try to get your business, with telling you this is going to be easy. Now, I have some team members on here. I have some staff members on here, and they know there's nothing easy about success. There's nothing easy about it, right? Here's another one real quick, and then I want to take some questions, Chris, if there's questions that you have or that came in through Facebook or on here. But here's another one.
Yeah, we got 4.
Okay, here's another one, though. Upgrades, right? I'm trying to hit controversial topics, because if you are a school owner who does not believe in upgrades, and if I was going to talk to you and I want to sell you on something, all I would have to do is say, first of all, do you do upgrades? No, I don't believe in upgrades. Good. I don't understand. Everybody should be treated equally in your school. We should not have upgrades. Well, now you're going to start listening to me, because you think that I'm on the same wavelength of your thinking there. But the question you should ask yourself, because again, where did you get that thinking? Well, you either got it at some point because of how you define upgrades, or somebody told you should upgrade people and you force people to upgrade, like to pay you more money. There's a lot of people in our industry that you have, once you get to a certain level, you either pay us more money or you got to leave. Well, I wouldn't believe in upgrades either if I said you either pay me more money or you leave now that you're an intermediate student or whatever, right? I wouldn't believe that. But the question you should ask is, why does every business on the planet Earth have some type of upgrade program, but the martial arts industry is different? You should ask yourself that question, and I'd love to hear your answer, because I don't have the answer, which is why we have upgrades available for people, right? We have it available for people. And the last thing I'm going to say on that, just because I know that I'm striking a nerve with some people with the upgrade talk, is whatever your core program is, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, Kung Fu, Taekwondo, Karate, right? Whatever it is, you should allow people to come into your school, pay a fee for your core curriculum to get to your black belt in with that core program that you offer. However, if you're a Taekwondo guy, but you have a student that says, but I joined with my dad. Me and my dad want to join. We're in the same class. I'm 18 years old. He's 50 years old. We want to train together. But now that I've been training for a year, I just want to be a world-class competitor in Taekwondo competition. But my dad here just doesn't want to have another stint put in his heart. He just wants to keep training to just stay healthy and active. Why should you keep us in the same class? how are you doing me a service as an 18-year-old at the same time doing my dad a service? How are you doing that? Well, you should have a competition, world-class competition class where you or your instructors have to add more class times for that group of people if they choose to do that. And you should have an extra fee for people who want to pay for it. And by the way, that extra fee could be $20 a month. I'm making a broad example here, but I just want to let you know there's value to that. But I'm not going to force somebody to train in the world-class competition class. And some of you may say, well, we're doing that for free. Well, then if you're doing it for free with your monthly rate, that should be part of your core program. But now I feel like I'm the 50-year-old dad who just wants that. I feel like you should lower my rate because I will never take that class. So why are we paying the same amount? My point is again, just thinking and seeing perspectives and looking at things a little differently before you just jump on a bandwagon with your thinking, and always ask yourself, well, why is that? And how do we do that? Chris, what's a question we have?
We've got quite a few lined up. So I'm just going to start at the first one because I thought this was a really great one. Biggest mistake and biggest success you've made in the martial arts business?
Biggest mistake I've made in the martial arts business? Biggest mistake I've made in the martial arts. Oh, yeah. Okay. Here's the biggest mistake I made in the martial arts business. I thought I was a very, very good martial artist, you know, just like you all should think you're very good martial artists. And I came into the market when I was just turned 18 years old when I opened my first commercial school. And a block up the road was a famous martial arts school where even Don the Dragon Wilson had trained. It was a staple here, and they were a block up the road. And I said, man, how am I going to compete with them? You know what? I'm going to crush the market. I'm going to charge $4 a class, pay as you go, and I'm going to make uniforms optional. So if people can't afford a uniform and they have sweatpants and a tank top, I want to be able to teach them martial arts. I can't wait to see the thousands of students I'm going to get. Yeah, that didn't happen. Thank God I was living with my parents and they were not charging me rent, because it gets, guys, if you're this guy, I remember I would have the class line up. There'd be 10 people in class and not have them do jumping jacks. I would count the people to just see how much money I'm making this class. There's 10 people, I'm making $40. Good Lord, I'm not going to make rent this month. So that was one of the biggest mistakes, but I kept an open mind and I learned from it. My biggest success was, you know, I'll credit my mother with this. And my biggest success was at 21 years old. So now, you know, fast forward from 18 to 21 years old, I was getting into work at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. At 4:30, I would vacuum the carpet because I didn't have mats. I had carpet. I'd vacuum the mats and I would teach from 5 to 9 o'clock at night. I was working 4.5 hours and I was thinking, and by the way, I had a great world-class competitor. We were training some of the greatest martial artists. I mean, we did well in tournaments and I thought it was the best job in the world. But my mother sat me down and says, I got to ask you, Mike, you're 21 now. Do you want a business or a hobby? By the way, I was 21, still living at home. She said, do you want a business or you want to just do this as a hobby? I said, I want to do this as a business. Then she said, get your shit together and get your ass to this seminar that's coming to Orlando. It was a martial arts event, just like Game Changers next month. And I said what a lot of people say. What are they going to teach me? That's what I said. She says, I don't know, but you better go and find out. I went to that event. That seminar changed my life, but I had to have an open mind. I saw great, phenomenal martial artists, and I saw the revenue they were doing with their schools, and I couldn't believe it. So I wanted to know how. And back then, I just asked them, can I come visit your school? And I'd go visit schools and try to learn. So that was probably the biggest decision I made towards my success.
Top 3 things that I like. This was a good one. Top 3 things that kill a martial arts academy unapologetically. Top 3 things that kill a martial arts academy.
Well, if I want to be just black and white, here's what kills a martial arts academy. You're not enrolling enough students. You're not paying attention to your attrition rate. And you don't know how to generate revenue besides your billing check. I want you to hear what I just said on the last one. You do not know how to generate revenue besides your billing check. Those are the top 3 things that would kill your academy.
I love it.
By the way,
yeah?
I want to say this to everybody too. Listen up, everybody. Here's another golden nugget. If you hear people talk about how many students they have, for example, you know, we have 700 students and we're doing $1 million a year, and I'm going to tell you how. First, ask them how. Do you have an after-school program? How much are you charging? Where are you located? You know, are you in the middle of Manhattan where the density is 1 million people per square mile? Because I'm in Kansas. So am I going to be able to get 700 students and do $1 million in Helena, Montana? Am I going to be able to do that? You got to ask yourself the question, how are you doing it? Why is it working for you? As opposed to just listen to the surface. And I'm going to put ourselves in that category, everybody. If you see a Maya ad and it says something, call us first and ask us the questions. Call everybody. But don't just jump when you see that stuff, because one of the things that I like to make sure that we do is make sure it's duplicatable for everybody. Go ahead, Chris.
I'm going to throw a funny one at you. It's not, and he's not like being funny about it. He really wants to know, but how much money should you be making before you buy a Lambo?
There's other people in the industry you can ask that to, I guess. Listen, how much money should you be making before you buy a Lambo? First of all, let me just give you the honest answer. You shouldn't buy a Lambo. It's not the best investment in the world, guys. You know, however, here's what you should do before you buy even a printer. Set goals for yourself. The other thing that we tend to do in this industry, and again, I'm going to speak specific to this industry, you'll have a good month and you'll be like, man, our computer's been so slow. We had a good month. We're going to go buy the new computer. And then you don't have a good month next month, right? And you don't have any money in your savings. And it's called checkbook managing. If there's money there, I have money to spend. That's not what you should do. So whether it's a Lamborghini, a printer, a computer, or anything, set benchmarks and goals for yourself. And by the way, I would suggest that you set those goals on a quarterly basis, not a monthly basis, because everybody on here probably had a good month. But it's a lot harder to have a good quarter than a good month. A good quarter, there's only 4 of those in the year, but there's 12 months in the year. So if you're having a good quarter, we call that more than likely a trend. If you're having a good quarter, if you could have 3 consistent good months, which equal a good quarter, then that's when I would maybe say, okay, now we'll get the computer. Okay. By the way, if you have 1,000 good quarters, then go ahead and get the Lambo.
Fair enough. What is the best marketing strategy you find to work in today's environment?
Great question. And it will be in tomorrow's environment as well. Getting face-to-face with your customers, going out in your community and getting in front of your market, period. And Chris, digital marketing, we need that. We need that. And Chris has a great talk about how many fishing lines we have in the water, and we need to have a lot of fishing lines. But if I couldn't have any lines and I could only do one thing, you either have a choice. You could either open up your checkbook or you could put in time and sweat equity, right? If you can get in front of your market, that will yield the highest percent of return. Always. And I don't care how far AI goes. I just don't believe that will ever change. We are in a customer service business. Do not be, let me transition to this. Put in the chat box. I have a question real quick. How many of you, for those of you who have some kind of terms, yes or no, do you do auto renewals? Do you do renewals that just automatically renew? Yes or no? Do you do auto renewals? Yes or no? And you guys can take a look at the answers in there. Okay, so there's a lot of yeses, there's a lot of nos, right? And I see Nick and Marcia Malosi, I guess, said they talk to people. Here's the deal. There are exceptions. If you are a single school owner, let's say, right, you might need to have that in play right now. You might need that, right? Because you just don't have enough team. But I will never like to do auto renewals, ever. Because you know it, if you want to be honest with yourself, there's some of you on here that love auto renewals because you figure people forget that they're going to auto renew and it just renews. And you're afraid to let somebody know that their program or term is expiring because you might remind them and they may say, oh, it is. Oh, you know what? We're going to take a break right now. That's bad business. If you are afraid of your service or product, change your service or product. We get face to face with everybody before their program expires. And we like to do it 90 days before they expire. If you don't do auto renew and you wait till the month that they're expiring, I have a question for you. So let's just say we're in September, it's September 20th. And I'm expiring this month as my last month before I got to renew. And now you meet with me and I tell you, oh, really, we're expiring. You know, things have been so crazy. Johnny, my son or my daughter hasn't been wanting to get to class lately. I've been busy with work. You know what? We're going to take a break. What are you going to do? You're going to do nothing. You're going to try to convince me why I can still make time and why Johnny's just mistaken and he loves class or whatever you're going to do. But what if you meet with me 90 days prior and I tell you that? You have 3 months to build value and change my mind, right? By building value, not trying to sell me and convince me, by building value. So, you know, I just want to make sure that this industry, I wish that we had 1,000 people on here because I'm not trying to sell you on Maya. I'm trying to sell you on perspectives. I'm trying to sell you on keeping an open mind. You know what? Here's the deal. I just told you I charge $4 a class. I couldn't live on my own. I had to live with my parents. And by the way, when the $4 a class wasn't working, I told people, if you pay in full, listen to what I'm saying. If you pay in full, I'll give you 12 classes for the price of 10. So if you paid me $40 in full, 40 up front, I gave you 12 classes for the price of 10. Yeah, that didn't work either. And when that didn't work, then I said, you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to tell everybody $50 a month. Come as often as you want, $50 a month, right? That didn't work either, guys. That did not work either, right? And when you say, let me give you this. This is another controversy in the martial arts world, right? Did you hear what I said? Pay me $50 a month, and this is what I did, and you can come unlimited. And some of you right now on here charge a fee and allow your students to come unlimited. Let me give you an example of why that would be wrong, okay? Let me give you an example. Why do people join your school? For a specific reason. Something motivated them or inspired them to join your school at this moment in time. Something, right? Whether it was you teaching a class, whether it was a movie, a friend, they got punched in the face, something inspired them. When we get inspired, we want to go all in. So I'm going to go every day. Now, I know not everybody does that, right? But I had this experience when I did the $50. I had students that came 5 days a week, every day. And I had an extremely high attrition rate. People, it didn't take long for kids, adults to burn out. I did have a group of people, a small percentage of people that never burnt out. And they were phenomenal martial artists. And by the way, they're still with me today. Some of them are on this right now. They still are with me. 29 years later, 25 years later, they're still here, right? But they were the minority. Here was what I would tell you as an example of understanding how this works. Give a child a PlayStation or an Xbox. Buy them the game that they're dying for. Give it to them over the weekend. How often do you think they'll play that game when they first get it? And how long will it be before they ask you to buy them another game? But what if you gave them that game for just, let's just see how you do. Here it is for an hour. Then you take it back. And then 2 days later, you say, here it is for an hour, and you take it back. Will the game last longer? And will they eventually become better at it because they're still playing that game a year later? In the beginning, we want people to make sure that martial arts is something they want to do, and we want to ease them into it. 5 days a week right out of the gate for an adult who's never trained before could cause injuries, could be a shock to the body, could be overkill. And then what happens is when something comes up and they miss a day, they get used to just, oh, you know what, I can go tomorrow. And then tomorrow, you know what, I can go tomorrow. And pretty soon they realize I haven't been in class in a month, I'm going to take a break. Just think of both sides. I'm not telling you to not let people go unlimited, but make sure you think on both sides of the coin. There's pros to everything you decide, and there's cons to everything you decide. Chris, what else?
What is the best CRM? What do people use?
Oh, that's easy. The best CRM out there that all of you should be switching to and using is, Chris, did I scare you? You know what? I'm not going to tell you what the best CRM is, but what I will tell you is if you haven't done your homework and looked at CRMs in the last year, you don't know either. Do you understand that? You don't know either. Now, you could have a CRM you're using and you are extremely happy. You're like, we're happy. Are you happy because you're comfortable? What? And by the way, and then here's what you'll say. It does everything we need. Here's the other key in successful business. It's not what you know that will get you successful. It's finding out what you don't know that will get you successful. Just understand that. It's not what you know, it's finding out what you don't know. So every CRM out there should constantly evolve to be better. But do an audit. Do an audit once a year. Check it out. Get a walkthrough. See what's out there. Make sure that you find the best CRM for you. Go ahead, Chris.
So one of the questions, and I think these two can kind of tie into each other, is like, what is an upgrade? Upgrades are foreign to me. Being an adult school, I've got 90 adults, 40 kids. I don't fully understand the upgrade philosophy. And then somebody else asked, why does Masters Club have to be 36 months? So I think you could probably tie those two in together.
Okay. So first of all, here's what an upgrade is. It's anything that is of value to one of your customers that you will allow them to buy for a specific price for an extra add-on. I mean, that's an upgrade. If you guys charge $100, this isn't your traditional upgrade, but it's an upgrade. If you charge $100 a month for a student to be in class with other students to learn martial arts, but you charge $60 for a class for a student to do a one-on-one lesson, which is a private, that would be a form of an upgrade. You don't force private lessons on your students, but it's there if somebody wants it. So they can upgrade and get a private lesson package, which is like a multiple, I'm going to buy a 10-pack of private. That's not your traditional upgrade, but that is an example of an upgrade. The traditional sense of an upgrade would be like what I said earlier, as an example, right? We have a high-level competition training class for students who want to just compete at the highest level. And you're going to work in this, like you're going to be dragging yourself off the mat. Now, if you did that for every student in every class, you will have a very high attrition rate. Most people will quit. But if I'm a student that wants that hardcore training, hey, for just $25 more a month, you can take those classes if you want, right? Well, if that's a value to me, I want to pay an extra $25. Now, if you have 100 students that pay you an extra $25, you just added $30,000 a year to your bottom line with the same amount of students, just by offering a value to your student. Now, why does Masters Club? First of all, there is no such thing as Masters Club, everybody. We just termed it Masters Club. We have a basic or a core program. We have a Black Belt Club and a Masters Club. But you could call it a core, an elite, and an ultimate program. You could call it anything you want, right? And it does not have to be 36 months. A program does not have to be 36 months. But here's why you shouldn't say, I will never do 36 months. This is something you should never say. I will never offer a 36-month program because nobody will sign up for 3 years. Well, if you're saying that, you would be 100% wrong. That's not my opinion. It's 100% wrong because we have thousands of people with all these schools that are in 36-month programs, right? It's about presentation, but you do not have to do 36-month programs. But I'm going to give you one example of something very quickly so you can understand. Let's just pretend for a minute. Let's just pretend that you have a 1-year program. Okay, so pay attention to this. This is part of the answer. If you have a 1-year program that people sign up for, and then you offer an upgrade of some sort that you want to, it's for people that are just diehards, and you say, well, the upgrade program is a 24-month program. It's 2 years. And let's say me, well, I offer, it's 3 years for me, 3, right? Now let's just use numbers. Let's just pretend that you upgrade 5 people every month, 5. Well, that's 60 people in a year that you upgrade. But you upgraded everyone on 24 months. I upgraded everyone on 36. Do you understand that I just got 60 years more of contract amount? 60 years, 60 years in 1 year more than you did. But that's on the business side. The other thing is if you keep stats and you keep track, you will find that people that go to those programs stay longer. And if you are a martial arts instructor, do you know what your goal is as a martial arts instructor? Your goal is to only get that student to their next class every time you teach. Your goal is not to keep them 3 years. Your goal is, I just want to make this experience so great that everyone right here in this class will be at their next class. And when they come to their next class, I want to make sure every student here comes to their next class. But at the end of the day, how long does it take to get a black belt? For some of you, maybe a year. For some of you, maybe 10 years. I don't know what it is. I would like to do longer than 36 months because you're not getting a black belt from start to finish in 3 years, typically in our schools, because people are out and, you know, it's a little longer than that. However, my goal is to get you committed to black belt. Why? Because I believe in the black belt. I believe in the value of achieving that black belt. And I know what it did for my life. All of you know what it did for your life, but you know who doesn't know? The student that's training on the mat because they never got a black belt. So why are they quitting? Why are they going to come to you at some point and say, I want to quit? At some point, the majority of students will say, I don't want to come anymore. I want to quit, or I'm going to take a break, or whatever that is. It's only based on the present feeling that they're having, just like it was when they joined your school, right? We want to get them committed because most people like to fulfill their commitments. But I said earlier, I'm not taking anyone to court or anything like that, right? That's not in our DNA to do that stuff. But I do want people to try to commit, and I do want to try to encourage them to get to a black belt level. But you got to explain to your student why. Why? Why should I get a black belt? And you need to have that answer. And what I tell people is, look, first of all, if you get a black belt in martial arts, it shows the world that you have discipline. It shows the world you have commitment. It shows the work. It shows the world that you've worked very hard to achieve a goal, right? But what it also does, Mrs. Johnson or sir or child, right? What it also does, it just opened the door for a million other opportunities for you if you ever wanted to pursue a career in martial arts. We currently don't hire brown belts to go open a school for us and teach, but we'll hire black belts, right? It's just like, do you quit your junior year of high school? You just did 11 years of school. If you quit in 11th grade, it's very hard to get a job in the real world. But if you just finished one more year and you get that high school diploma, you just opened up a million doors. I try to articulate that to families and parents for their kids and for their children. And by the way, my team's on here. They will tell you that 95% of the people that we hire are students of ours that achieve black belt, right? That came up through the ranks. So, and we provide real careers, right? So anyway, that's the long answer. Go ahead, Chris.
You got 13 minutes and 7 questions, Mets. You think we can speed round this a little bit?
Go ahead.
All right. No, what should we what should we target for a net profit margin?
That's a hard one to answer too. And some people just throw an answer out at you and you'll start taking notes. Why is that a hard question to answer? Because are you an owner operator? Are you working 40 hours a week in your school? Are you not an owner operator? Do you have a full staff that you're supplying? Are you in Orlando right now where the rent is over $10,000 a month for a 2,100 square foot space? Or are you in Minooka, Illinois, where it's $400 a month, right? I mean, at the end of the day, what I would rather do for you is I would rather dive into your numbers. And I'd want to ask more questions to tell you, but you know, it could be 20%, it could be 50%. I mean, I've seen it across the board, but I will not give a blanket answer to 70 people on here because it's not going to be accurate. Next.
Your thoughts on making criminal background checks, basically like a standard, and promoting it for instructors?
100%. We don't hire anyone without one.
I keep getting told by professionals that my rates are not high enough and need to go up, but I have increased the number of intro lessons turning away due to the cost when I attempt to increase it. My opinion is we live in a low income area. Suggestions?
Yes. The first thing that I would say is, let me hear how you're presenting it. What are you saying? What are you doing? I will tell you there's probably a dozen people that have come on to our consulting in Maya where I said, what do you charge? They told me where they got it from another consulting group. And I said, okay, well, look, before you sign up with us, I'm going to tell you right now, if you sign up with us, we're going to take every student in your school, we're going to lower their rate by $30 a month. But I promise you within 90 days, you'll be doing more revenue. There's about a dozen people that I've done that to where we just lowered rates because after getting the right information, they were charging too much. They were charging too much. And this is one of those things again, where somebody's sitting in the middle of a city where their average household income is $200,000 a year and the average home price is $1 million. And they're going to say, look, you need to be charging this. If you're not charging this, you're devaluing your services. And then some of you sitting in the little city that the income's not like that, you think you get inspired and you're like, you know what, honey, we're not going to charge $100 a month anymore. We're going to $250 a month and it's working for them. It's going to work for us. No, it won't. It won't work for you. We got to get information. But I will tell you this, even if you charge $100 a month, it goes back to what I said earlier as far as one of the school killers. If you don't know how to generate revenue above and beyond your billing check, you're just going to coast or die a slow death. You may coast for 20 years, but you'll never reach the pinnacle of success. Go ahead.
I think this is a really good one. What would you tell a school owner who is having trouble with creating a clear vision for their school and life?
Say that again, Chris. What would I tell a school owner that's having trouble creating a vision for their school?
For their school and life. Yeah.
I would ask, creating a vision for whom? For their students, for themselves? You know, I would want to understand. I mean, listen, creating a vision is another way of saying we need to have a goal of what we're trying to do here. What is our objective? And everybody has a different goal. You know, there's people I've consulted that I've taken all the way into retirement that stayed with me for years until they retired. I've had people change careers that stayed with me until they built a school up to sell. And I've had people that stayed with me till they opened up multiple schools. I mean, it would have to be a discussion based on where you're at in life. What is it that you want? How old are you? I mean, you know, these are great questions, but this is one of the things that I won't do. It's what I just said at the beginning. Don't get brainwashed. Can I give you some really cool, fancy answers that you'll start taking notes on? Sure, I can, but it's not real. It may apply to some of you, but it's not going to apply to all of you. I would have to talk to you one-on-one to help you figure that out based on where you're at in life and what you're trying to do.
Is Maya Edge a good choice for me if I only have 3 students?
I would ask you, look, my edge is $149 a month or something like that. I would have to ask you, where's your income coming from? I won't ever tell anybody to spend money if it's going to make us stress and make things tough. And if that was the case, if you say I have a full-time job and I'm really trying to grow my school, I would tell you to do Maya Edge. If you told me I just left my school and or my full-time job and I got a school with 3 students, I would say, get one of us on the phone and we're going to give you free advice and tell you what to do before we start selling you anything and taking your money.
Fair enough. How would you introduce testing fees to your existing student base?
I wouldn't do that. If you told people as they join that you don't have testing fees, then I wouldn't then turn around and say, we decided to start charging testing fees. I would start with the very next student that wants to enroll in my school. Let me just tell you about testing fees. If you're not charging testing fees, here's where Metzger, where I lose fans and where I gain fans. But if you're not charging testing fees, you're doing yourself a disservice. Period. End of story. Now, some of you are saying, well, that's nickel and diming and that's this and that's that. No, it's not. If you're buying belts and you're buying certificates and making your graduation and testing an event where you're canceling classes, you have every helper, leadership student, instructor, assistant instructor, and you're making this an event, you should absolutely charge for this at minimum to cover the cost of your belts and certificates, at minimum. But here's how you do it. When somebody comes into your school and they want to enroll, this is what we say, or what we should be saying for my team that's on here, but this is what I've been saying for 15 years. Before you join, Mrs. Johnson, one of the things we pride ourselves on is being upfront and honest with our customers. So before you sign up, I want to tell you there are some additional costs you will incur when you start training with us. For example, if your child ever needs an extra uniform or if they outgrow the uniform, there's an extra fee for that. You would have to purchase that. They would do this, okay? Another thing that we do is we do special events. Once a month, we'll do a special event because we want our families to be able to go out, have a nice dinner, enjoy themselves. And if you want us to watch the kids, we do a fun martial arts class. We'll do games on a Friday night. We'll have pizza or whatever it is. But there is a cost for that. That's typically $35, $40 or whatever that is. Is that okay? Yes. The other thing that I want to tell you is when you, if it's an adult or your child progresses through their next rank, there is a $40 fee. However, that includes stripe testing every single month, which we do in class. That includes the graduation ceremony. That includes the testing. That includes the belt certificate you're going to get, and it also includes your belt. If you don't pass or your child doesn't pass, you will not have to pay. Do you have any questions about that? Is that okay? And 100% of the people say, no, I understand. Well, we used to just do that verbally. And then what would happen is months later or something, the dad would bring the child or come in and say, you never told us about testing fees and this, that, and the other. Very rare, but it would happen, right? And we would say, well, no, we did tell your wife when she enrolled. And then they would say, no, you didn't. This, that. So what we do is when we go over this before they enroll, we have a new student checklist. And when I go over that, I'll say just initial here that we went over that, you understand, right? Now, fast forward to today, testings bring in a significant amount of revenue into our schools. I did testing fees when I started at 18, 19. I got rid of testing fees for 2 years, and I had to bring testing fees back because I was losing money every testing, and I felt I was losing money every testing because billing companies will tell you, just raise your rates and make it all inclusive. Well, part of that is because billing companies get paid off your monthly fees. So of course they should tell you to raise your monthly fee and just incorporate all that, because the billing company wouldn't get money on your testing fees. right? I mean, that's just one part of it. And if I was consulting a billing company, I would consult them to try to get people to incorporate that in their monthly fees. But just be upfront and honest. Guys, you could charge $1,000 a month if you want, as long as you tell your customers upfront before they sign up with you. Just be upfront and honest with your customers. Then let the adult decide if this is the school for them or not. Go ahead, Chris. What else? Anything else?
Best book you've ever read?
There's been a lot, you know.
Really?
Well, my mom read me a lot of books. I love Marvin K. Mooney, Will You Please Go Now by Dr. Seuss. If you guys know, one of the books I love is Secrets of the Millionaire Mind. Love that book. Another book is The 1 Minute Manager. Another book is From Good to Great. Another book that I absolutely love, since we're in the martial arts, and all of you should have read it, and if you didn't, I would suggest you get it, because it's about perspectives and the hidden lessons, is Zen in the Martial Arts by Joe Hyams, right? I think all of you should read that book. I mean, there's a lot of books, but again, this is one of those things. What's the best book I ever read? Well, I don't know. For my anxiety of flying or for growing my business? You know, which book? I mean, I could give you a book, but it may apply to some of you, it may not. But this is why I love hanging out with all of you at our events, Game Changers, or picking up the phone, because I can really give you some guidance and perspectives and help you based on your individual situation. And I'm going to say this. This is also the reason, and Chris can attest to this, why I was asked for a long time, we need to do Maya coaching, consulting. We need to move it to group consulting, because we'll be able to scale it. Right now, there's, I don't know, 67 people on here, right? Imagine if all of you were paying a fee and this was your consulting call and I just spewed my rhetoric to all of you, right? I can't help you as much as I can help you if we talk one-on-one, but how hard would it be for me to pick up all of you as clients and talk to you guys individually every other week or once a month individually, 67 different people? Extremely hard to scale that business. But I told Century, I told Maya, I told the team, we will not go to group consulting because it's not what's best for the school owners or the staff members. It is not what's best. And I put you all first over scaling a consulting company. And you can ask me the whys and the hows, but that's why we do it that way. Go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, so I don't know if you have a couple of minutes to go. There's a couple questions left, but I did want to get this link out for everybody that was on. So we are basically taking care of your hotel, your flight, and your registration to Game Changers, which is happening in Orlando, October
21st.
20th and 21st. Yeah. And if you are a non-Maya client and you want to go into the raffle, we are going to be announcing the winner tomorrow during the Mets Tassel Show. I dropped the link in there. Click on that. It's going to ask you a couple of questions, and we are going to choose a random winner and announce it on the Mets Tassel Show.
Yeah, tomorrow, Mets Tassel at 1 Eastern time. But do you know why we're going to pay for your airfare and hotel? Do you know why? And have you end the event? Do you know why we're going to pay for that? Earlier, I said there's companies that say we're the best group out there. We're the best consulting. And I said, I don't know if we're the best, because I can't say that because I'm not going to any other consulting groups, right? But I know how good we are. And I know if I get you to the event, there's probably a 95% chance you are going to sign up with us. That's why I'm willing to have you come out and fly you out, because I know what we can do for schools. I just know what we do. And if you were there for a day and a half amongst all the other clients and you see what we do, and you're serious about growing your business, you're going to sign up. So that's me being very transparent with everybody. That's why we're doing it. Okay. Yeah. Non-My Elite clients only. If you're a My Elite client, I already signed you up. You already know what we do. Here's the other thing. If you were a client 10 years ago, or if you think you know what Maya is, you don't know what Maya is today. You don't know what Maya is today. It's very different today than it was years ago. Very different. Is there anything? So again, fill out that survey, turn it in, and it's October 20th and 21st. Don't fill out the survey if you know you're out of town on the 20th and you can't make it. And then tomorrow on the Mets Tassel Show. Why on the Mets Tassel Show? I think it's a way to get more viewers on the Mets Tassel Show. Let's just be honest with everybody, guys. My job, I told you what my job is, professionalize the martial arts industry so we can make bigger impacts on the communities. The only way I know how to do that is by getting more people to the table and helping more schools. Just that's what it is. Anything else, Chris?
There were two. Do you sign people up for the program after their trial class, or do you do a trial program first?
It's a great question. And here's the answer to that question. If you are good at sales, sign them up the minute they walk in your school. If you're good at sales, and it's okay to sell somebody on something that you know would be good for them. However, I have a team of people that work in the schools, and a lot of people are not salesmen, and nor do I look for salesmen, right? Because the sale happens on the floor, the close happens in the office. So it's okay to put someone on a trial and then close them once they see if this is right for them. But there's a system to that, everybody. There's a whole system, and I don't have the time to get into why we do 4-week trials and how we set up that progress check halfway through the trial. There's a system, and there's a series of questions to ask, but there's a way to do this systematically to where even if you're not good at sales, if you're good at what you do, if your service is good, there's an easy way to close a high percentage of people.
Last one. A fellow school owner is thinking of putting his school in an irrevocable trust to lessen tax burden.
Here's what I'm going to tell you right now. Yeah. Did you hear what the question was? An irrevocable trust for, tax purposes. Well, that may come from an accountant. Here's what I would advise you. Talk to your accountant and then talk to your attorney. Get the pros and the cons from an accounting standpoint and a legal standpoint. I'm not going to sit here and tell you what to do on a webinar. I have no idea what you should do. Talk to your accountant and your attorney. Understand the pros and cons of both. Law, accounting.
Last one, your opinion on an open air lobby over a closed lobby to reduce sound and distraction for students. This question's actually been popping up a lot in Facebook groups lately. So
open air lobby. Listen, that's a cultural thing. Come to our schools. I think for the most part, our lobbies are pretty respectful. But listen to me, if you work with kids and you have parents sitting in a closed lobby, even if you have a closed circuit TV and all that stuff, you're not engaging those families involved in the values and benefits of what you're teaching those kids. You need to not only, listen, if you work with kids, you need to make sure those kids, if your mission is to get them to black belt, you got to make sure the kids are having fun, but you got to make sure the parents are seeing the value in what they're paying for. And we got to bring them together for retention purposes. How do you get parents and kids to build rapport, but in the martial arts setting? Can't do that if they're stuck in a lobby on the side through a closed circuit TV, guys. I'd knock the wall down. And by the way, I did do that. About 10 years ago when I did a school evaluation, I went out and they said the setup, I said, got to knock this down, got to, do it. And they did. I mean, so that would be my answer, but you can ask me more questions on that if we talk.
All right, guys. So tomorrow, 1 p.m. Eastern, Mets Tassel Show. We go live from the Maya Edge Facebook business page. We will go ahead and choose a winner. Mets, any kind of final thoughts? We threw this webinar together kind of like last minute. I thought this was awesome with the amount of people that we had show up today and everybody's participation and the great questions that were asked. So thank you, guys.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, here's it is. Just do your homework and don't get your fixed belief systems going. Open your minds up. If you're not where you want to be, check Maya out, but check out everybody else too. I mean, just don't listen to the customers. If you ask people in a Maya group, hey, how's Maya? I'm thinking about growing Maya or joining Maya. Everyone in that group is going to say, best decision I ever made. Awesome. Did this, did that. If you go into another group, they're going to tell you that's the best. Do your own work, people, and open your mind, okay? And make sure you gel with the philosophies of the group. on everything that you do. But at the end of the day, we want to make you more successful. So there it is. I appreciate your time, everybody. Thank you all so much for tuning in. I appreciate it. We'll see you tomorrow at 1 Eastern if you can make it on Facebook, Mets Tassel Show.